moments. But for now, let's turn more towards that big news coming to us from the Middle East today, news of that ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. And I'm joined now by Mohamed Taha from BBC Arabic. Mohamed, what is the situation like in the region tonight? We heard reports earlier of Israeli strikes continuing in Gaza, and somewhere between 20 and 30 people reported to have been killed.
Yes, indeed, Katrina. After the announcement of the ceasefire deal between the Palestinians and Israel, the Palestinians started to celebrate, started to have a joyful atmosphere in Gaza, and all of a sudden this turned to be again strikes from Israel in different parts of Gaza that left, according to the health authorities there, more than 35 people died in these strikes. This putting the number of Palestinians died in the strikes in Gaza in the last 24 hours more than 80 people. Unfortunately, the Palestinians will have to face this situation for maybe 3 more days until this ceasefire enter into effect on Sunday, where they expect the ceasefire to be in effect. Then the Israeli forces would withdraw to outside the residential areas. Then the aid to Gaza will be intensified by 600 trucks a day. Then there will be a free movement in Gaza where the Palestinians would be able to return back to their places or their homes if there are remaining homes. As we know, there are 70% of Gaza Strip is destroyed, according to forensic reports that have been done by the BBC. And there will be the exchange of hostages and prisoners. 3 hostages are expected to be released on Sunday, and tens of Palestinians would be released. Maybe around 50 Palestinians might be released on Sunday. So the atmosphere is mixed between the joyful and the happiness of this ceasefire to happen, and to the end of this 467 days of war, and the pain of the continuation of the fighting and the Israeli strikes.
And Mohamed, do we have any information about how this is all going to happen on Sunday? What time it might happen, where the hostages will be released from, to whom, and of course that crucial aid getting in?
All the people all the parties in the Middle East were really keen to announce the deal as it happened, because, you know, from May or even before May, the negotiations on this deal was going on. We kept saying that it's close for many times, and this is a big moment that they agreed on the main points. The main points were the Israeli withdrawal. Israel insisted that they will not withdraw from Gaza at all, especially from Netzarim corridor or from Philadelphia corridor that is bordering Egypt. Now these points are cleared, and there will be negotiations towards a permanent ceasefire in the second phase after 42 days from the implementation of the first phase. Of course, the exchange of hostages and prisoners. These are main points that Hamas and Israel kept negotiating for long, and reaching this deal, as all parties said, it's historic. It's towards establishing Palestinian state. It is towards the return of the hostages back, the Israeli hostages back to their homes, and return of this peaceful atmosphere again in the Middle East that we lost for a long time. So this was the main point for tonight. I do expect in the coming days, coming 3 days before the implementation of the first phase on Sunday, that these details would be announced one by one. But what we understand, it should enter by Sunday, so we expect by Saturday midnight that the ceasefire would be implemented, no fighting between the two parties, and the withdrawal also of the Israeli forces from the residential areas. We understand that Israel already started to withdraw from Netzarim corridor to allow the free movement of the Palestinians.
Okay, Mohamed, Taha, thank you very much for that update. Well, let's speak now to former US State Department Senior Policy Advisor for the Middle East Peace Process, Laura Blumenfeld. Laura, thanks for being with us. We're awaiting this farewell address from Joe Biden. Of course, key to that will be this Middle East peace deal, which will form part of his legacy. How important is it to him personally to have got this deal to this point just before he leaves office?
I think it's crucial. I mean, he is a reasonable man in an unreasonable region. He's sort of a consensus gentleman of the Senate. And the question was, could you accomplish anything with that kind of approach in the Middle East? I think it was sort of he needed Trump, honestly, for that final assist. He was the architect of this three-part plan, which he made public at the end of May. He put out the blueprint, but he needed that bulldozer Trump to kind of get it built. Because, Goldilocks doesn't work in Gaza, that kind of just right, not too hot, not too cold. It's a tough area, and he's pretty going to be personally satisfied because it doesn't feel good to leave office, leaving hostages in Gaza. For Trump, I would say it doesn't look good. He's all about appearances. But this is our, empathetic president, and I think it's you talk about commitment as one of the keys for achieving anything in the Middle East. And if anything, he was overcommitted. Maybe that was his fault.
Okay. Laura, with me here in studio, I have our two panellists who are always with us for the big occasions. Stephanie Murphy, former Democratic Congresswoman from Florida, and Rodney Davis, former Republican Congressman from Illinois. Thanks to you both for being here again. Just on that point about the Middle East as it forms part of Joe Biden's legacy, what's your view on that, Stephanie?
Well, certainly tonight, I'm sure he's grateful that there is a ceasefire that he can announce as he does talk about his legacy. He really is a president who sees himself as a foreign policy maker and really prides himself in that. And his administration has had mixed results when it's come to foreign policy.